there's another one.
I know Herb's got a migraine.
Go.
I guess they're not looking at your 1 o'clock anymore.
What's wrong with you, man?
Nothing. Nothing.
No, he said nothing. Nothing.
I start crying when I get out of it.
No, you are good. You're good. Well, we actually have a really good session today. So, first of all, anything that anyone would like to share from Business Planning Clinic? I know some of you just came last week, but then some of you, it was, you know, you can't come late, man. You gotta hustle. You gotta hustle. I know some of you, it's been a few weeks since you were able to come. So, what were some of your takeaways from Business Planning Clinic, and what have you started to incorporate since going?
I've been incorporating my time off, my vacation days, setting up my new.
Your calendar?
Yeah, my new book here, but I didn't bring it with me. But this here.
Okay, no, that's good. Let's put it on here. All right, so we're gonna put your calendar. Okay. I'm just gonna say planning your 2020 schedule. Okay, what else?
Worked all my numbers into a 411.
Excellent. You worked your numbers into a 411, so actual activities.
Yep.
Okay, what else?
I did the 411 too. I have the social media calendar.
Excellent.
I got it already.
Yeah.
Okay.
Trying to get a system to do daily activities.
Yeah. So back to the 411.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So daily activities. Ray, we're talking about what you got from Business Planning Clinic. If there are any takeaways that you got from Business Planning Clinic that you've actually been able to incorporate or want to incorporate. So this is where we are so far. Calendars, work on the 411, a social media calendar, daily activities,
Goals.
I'm gonna put this back to the 411. Your goals, which is also a part of your. Anything else? Anything else major? Good. So we'll start there. Okay. So the 411 is something that I have been working on because, or I guess doing a little more research on, because I don't know that I was always using it correctly. Because I felt like every week when I went in to do the 411, I felt like I was just doing the same thing over and over and over. Kind of like when you write a to-do list, but you don't get any of it done, and so you just keep, transferring it over to the next thing. And so I felt like, oh, this can't be right. I'm not doing it right. Sorry for those of you in Facebook land that just heard that fun noise. But turns out you're doing it right. So there's actually a new electronic version, and I put that on our Facebook page just before I came into coaching. So you'll be able to access that, and when you log into it, it automatically funnels your information in there. So when you log in, it's going to say Raina's 411. Here, it looks like this. I printed it. It looks much better than this when it's like the electronic version online. And I wanted to print it just so you all could see what it looked like, because it automatically put in my name and it put in the month. So then what you can do is, you can't see it on here, but there are little drop downs on there. So there's two little boxes, and one box is for tasks that have been completed, and one is for tasks that have not been completed. And anything that you want to just click and drag over into the next month or the next week, you can do that without having to rewrite it all out, which I thought was very, very cool, because I always write mine out. So anyway, I put that on Facebook so that you'll have it. And then I wanted us to go over and let's just work through these, because I was very fascinated that this is a tool that if you don't have it completed, Gary will not meet with you. And I've always seen it as kind of a, I don't know, like a glorified to-do list. don't blackball me, but that's kind of what I felt about it, right? I thought it was kind of just exactly it, a glorified to-do list. So it's funny to me that so many of you all said that you're working numbers, you're working activities, working those things into your 411. This helps your head to stay organized. It helps you stay on track with what the big goal really is, right? So, for instance, I'll use me as the guinea pig. You know, you come into a new place, and the goal, obviously, is to grow the market center. However, were there other things that needed to be done?
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
Right? So it gets a little like you get off track and you get, okay, well, I've got to focus on this. Well, hold on, now I've got to do this. Well, this isn't finished, but now I got to do that. And that's over. Well, I got to do, right? And that's how your daily lives are. That's just how it is. Or you think you've got a day where you can get something done and you're sick, or you all of a sudden a client that you haven't heard from in 6 months wants to go and look at houses, or things happen. So you have to have something to keep you on track. So some of the things that that I had taken note of was build your habits and start course correcting now. And this was last week when I went to career visioning with shoes. And I can move this on here. It's right that we have a good group today, so we can do this. Okay. So what he did is he gave the example. He did this a little bit differently than I had seen it before. And he talked about the moon. I'm sure the moon has, whatever, it looks better than that, but that's my skill. Yeah. And so he said, so we're on this rocket ship and we're gonna go to the moon, and you go, and ideally it's gonna look like this, right? But if you take one little wrong turn, or you don't course correct, then you start to kind of look like this, and you miss your mark. And the biggest aha for me was coming in and tackling something new, and you hear what got you there won't get you where you want to go, right? And I'm learning that at a very high level, that what has worked before doesn't necessarily work now. And the biggest aha that I had when I saw him draw this was, this is what I'm actually working on. I'm actually working on closing that gap. And you all may feel the same way with your businesses. And so when I saw this, I was like, oh, there's a lot more to it than what I originally thought, right? So this is the same way for you all. If you've gotten off course, you've got to realize there are still some things, whether it's get your database right in command. I know you all love hearing that over and over and over, and it's the thing that's going to help you the most, right? So whether it's that, what are some other things that you need to fill that gap to get back on track with where you need to be? Those are some of them. What else?
Follow a schedule.
For sure, follow a schedule. And that is so hard. I mean, I don't know why it's so hard. Because days when I nail it, I'm like, oh, this is so easy. I don't know why I don't always do this, right? And then other days I'm like, how the heck am I supposed to ever follow a schedule, So, but that's huge, because if you go a week without following a schedule, your wedge is just getting bigger and bigger. So it's keeping you on track, right? Those are some of the things that we'll talk about today. So one of the biggest, another big fat takeaway for me was that your goals need to be SMART goals. So when you're talking about having a SMART goal, it's that it has to be specific. Does anybody know what else?
Measurable.
So specific, measurable. Don't say it. Something you can actually do would be
Attainable.
thank you. Attainable. It's not a dream, it's realistic. Yeah.
time frame.
Very good. So time-based. So this is something that I have looked at and looked at and looked at. Because if I'm one of these people that if you tell me to do it, I'm just going to do it and I'm just going to get it done, right? What I don't do well is when I have to tell someone else what to do or rely on someone else to do something, right? I'm not always great at this. You can give me the big picture and I walk away with it and run with it and do it. Everybody doesn't think that way. And it's really difficult for me to wrap my brain around that when I'm setting something into place that's very specific, that I have to make it measurable. So instead of saying, I want to lose weight, if you were to say, I want to lose 15 pounds in 6 months, right? So that's something very specific. It's something that's measurable. It's time-based. It's realistic, right? And it's something that is attainable. So it's the same way when you're sitting down figuring out what your goals are for 2020, whether it's income or what have you. I know everybody kind of goes about that differently. You've got to be really specific. And that's the reason of having the 411, so that these things, the daily activities that back that up, are almost ridiculous. That they're so simplistic and you're even writing it down, right? Because you've got to get to that point where you know exactly what you need to be doing. Instead of saying, I want to sell 100 homes, well, then how many homes do I have to sell every month to hit 100 homes? Or if your income goal is X, well, what do I need to do every month? How much do I need to sell or close every month to make that income? Well, then what do I need to be doing every day to make sure I'm doing that? So I was listening to a team leader today on the international Zoom, and he said, in order for our market center to reach the goals that we have to reach, so just so you all know, the standard of the team leader is that you have 40 appointments a month. And they want you, it used to be with the growth initiative, they wanted you to gross 10 and net 5. And now they're making the gross and net goals a little different based on where you are and different things, different variables. Anyway, so just think of it as 40 appointments and 10 gross, basically. And so I listened to this team leader today, and he said, well, you know, based on our goals where we want to be, we know we have to have 45 appointments, and those 45 appointments have to be with X number of producers. And we've been bringing in 18 a month. We have to bring in 25 a month. And I was like, what? And so then he says, and you have to have your team around you to do that. So when you all are working as individual agents, that's fine, but you have to stay on track. And if you're not going to stay on track, you've got to pay somebody that's going to get you to stay on track, right? That's why people hire fitness coaches and dietitians and all these things, right? Because they're not going to do it on their own. They have somebody else help them do it. So when you sit down, what I want us to do today, and we can actually probably all just do it in a little kumbaya circle, is to work out what your 411, and I brought extras so we can, mess around on one and get some ideas from each other on what those daily activities look like. So for instance, Sarah, when you put a social media calendar, so if we were going to make that a SMART goal of having a calendar and posting more on social media as your goal there, right? Let's help her. So what would that look like if that goal is, because that's actually one of the things that I wrote down. What do you do on a daily basis? So, and there's personal, I think, does this one have it? No, I didn't do this one, but there's one version of it that says business goals, financial goals, personal goals. So if you're looking at the one for business, that would be social media. So something specific would be you're going to post it on Facebook and Instagram maybe?
Yeah, and LinkedIn.
Okay, so the platforms, the 3 platforms, and then what would measurable be?
So what I was gonna do for measurable is do 5 posts for next week. Does that
Okay.
make sense?
Okay, and then so
you're a week ahead of time.
So are you gonna do those like one every weekday, or are you gonna do one on Saturdays?
I was thinking like on Tuesdays. Mondays, I just thought it's, you're wrapping up from the weekend.
Okay,
And there's nothing magical about Tuesday.
okay, so you're gonna schedule these on Tuesday, but when are they gonna post?
They'll post the next week.
When?
So I guess we'd have to look at the day, so let's just say Tuesday, Wednesday.
You can still post if you're scheduling it on, right?
Well, that's what I mean, so scheduling them to post, so it'd be like, I don't know, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. Like,
Yeah, so, but you see what I'm saying? If now you've got to actually think about, okay,
Right,
measure-wise, where am I gonna put that? And yes, it's attainable, and yes, it's realistic, and then, so time-based would be, you're gonna block that out, maybe every Tuesday morning at 8 o'clock, or whatever is when you sit down to do that and create your, right, but do you see what I'm saying of making this, when I say almost ridiculous, how simple it is, that's really how we have to break it down, or it's not gonna get done. What are some of your thoughts around this? Is anybody doing something close to this now? I mean, I'm not.
well, this was kind of like the idea that I had.
Yeah.
It just kind of came, talked about it here.
I started and then something happens that's major and I have to shift gear. I'm constantly shifting.
Right.
So.
Well, and especially because it's really hard. Does your schedule
Because I'm not
change?
dual career. Yeah,
Yeah.
my schedule changed and it's changing different again.
Right.
So,
And that makes it really hard to be
Yeah.
able to focus. Yeah.
And aren't you trying to figure out what, I know the 3 platforms, but the type of post that you're posting, is it just like informational? Is it video?
Well, and for right now, it's informational
Okay.
with plans of doing video and things. Like, for instance, what we did in group coaching last week, when we were talking about the angel tree deal, and Scott ended up being the
Angel.
Yeah, he's the guinea pig. We're all going to be videoing and interviewing and what have
We
you.
gotta bump up our timeline 2 weeks.
Oh, okay. So, but yeah, whatever, right? Like, but now we know that, and we have a specific plan instead of looking up and going, oh, you know, like that's what we have ALC clinic tomorrow. That's exactly what happened to me this morning. So, my gosh, we don't have everything out, you know, and I sent out a message, but people hadn't replied, and I'm like, I don't think anybody got it. And then I'm sending out another one, and then people were replying to that one. I'm like, I don't think my texts are going out. Did you get, okay, good.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't reply.
No, it's okay. But I was
Flying right now.
well, no, you're good. But no, I actually had somebody that I had sent it to that like 3 hours later texted me and said, hey, what time are we supposed to be there tomorrow? And I was like, 2 people did. So, but things like that happen, you know, and if you're getting ahead of it, right, and you have your plan and you know what you're doing, then you can follow through and at least have something to fall back on, as opposed to just it blew up in your face and, oh, well, it's not going to happen, right? Okay, so what he suggested was just take a day, a full day, and just plan it all out. You know, maybe you don't come in here. Maybe you do it from home or wherever you're most productive. And you may feel crappy about yourself, like you're taking away a day of production. But ultimately, it's better to do that than to waste a lot of excuse me, than to waste a lot of time on activities that aren't going to move you forward. Does that make sense? So he says time, and so then additionally, on top of taking your full day, time block just 15 to 20 minutes every single day to think about it. To just rethink your goals, rethink where you are, just some quiet time to go over there and really think it through. And that is something that I do every morning. And I kind of just jot it all down while I'm at it, right? And little things that come to mind. And I keep that piece of paper on my desk all day because as I'm in meetings or as I'm, you know, in a virtual meeting or on a call or whatever, something will come up and I'll, you know, want to write it down. So those are things now, though, that I'm glad that I have this electronic version. Now I could go back and actually incorporate and add it into my 411 instead of just having all these fun lists that I accrue every day. So Jim Rohn said, a person's personal income very rarely surpasses their personal development. So what happens is when you are doing 2 jobs and trying to get everything finished and completed and get there on time and not get fired and all the stuff that goes into it, right? It's like, how in the world am I supposed to read a book? Or, I mean, because I think this a lot.
Audible.
I think,
That's how I do
oh,
it.
for sure, hands down. I think a lot, I go to all these trainings and I go to all these classes, and at some point, I really, really need to be in the office recruiting. Like, it's great to go to all these things, but and it's the same way with you all. It's great to go to all this, but at some point I've got to actually go sell a house, right? So it's finding the balance of that. And when all of these things come up, you definitely want to go and look. And this is where, when we do your lore report, and I know I haven't done them with all of you, but especially both of you are in Rhonda's NPC, aren't you? So have her do this exercise with you, where you can print out those trends, the green and yellow graph thing that you've seen, and go through and see the months when you're a little bit slower, when you don't really produce as much. And that's your month that you go to a regional event or something like that, right? If you know ahead of time that in 2020, these are the 2 months that I'm going to go to, and that's it, right? I'm going to go to Mega Camp or Family Reunion. Maybe you go to both. That's your business, right? And I'm going to do bold, and I may do, but if I do bold, then I'm not going to do this. Or if I do this, right? But have it already there so that you're not conflicted when the time comes with what you are or aren't going to do. And part of that is going to be what you budgeted for, like how much money you're going to spend on that kind of thing. A big piece of it, y'all, is the time. Because it never fails. I mean, this week I walked in, I was talking to Melissa, and I said, okay, so tomorrow we have our ALC retreat. And then Wednesday we have bold. And then Thursday is our Thanksgiving potluck and feed my starving children. And then Friday afternoon I'm on a flight. And I was like, when am I actually going to do my job this week, right? And then it occurred to me, I'm going to be doing it really early in the mornings and at night. And so what happens then is, instead of an 8-hour day, now I end up having 13 and 14-hour days, which aren't, and it all still has to get done. Those aren't things I could miss, right? So, so what are some of how do you all handle that when it comes to, because that's, for me, it's training. For you all, I'm sure it's something else. How do you handle that? And how are we going to fit this in here?
So you mean handle like that when all this extra stuff comes?
Yeah, and the work still has to get done.
Like your normal stuff.
Yeah.
You have to set boundaries. I know for me, I'm not gonna get to everything. It's just the way it is right now.
Right.
Prioritize.
So
what's
I have to
most
say,
important.
okay, I can come to it if it's before this time, otherwise I can't do it.
Yeah.
Like,
So let's take this week, what I just told you. Okay. So tomorrow is the ALC clinic. Do I miss that?
No.
Is that something I can miss?
No.
No. Wednesday is bold. I had to miss last week. Do I miss it this week?
No. Was it 2 weeks?
Yeah. Migraine 2 weeks ago. Last week was career visioning. Yeah. Thursday. Do you remember what I said Thursday was?
Yeah.
The
Thursday's a
potluck.
potluck.
And feed my starving children.
Do I miss those?
Yes, Miss Starving Children.
I mean, but you know what?
I bet it is.
Yeah, I just saw Scott's.
I mean, that's
But you see what I'm saying?
There's all the virtual life going.
You see what I'm saying? No, we all have times like that where you're like, okay, I can't miss Anna's softball game. And I can't miss Mike's work event. And I can't miss, like, these are all, they have to get done. I can't say to people, sorry, I've got phone calls to make. I'm not coming to the potluck.
Right.
It still has to get done. So what do you do?
I prioritize. I pick, there are some things you just can't do.
Well, this week isn't one of those. So what do we do?
Work longer hours.
or delegate it.
Get up
Delegate it to
earlier.
someone else.
So delegate it. I'm already up at 5:30. I'm not getting up any earlier.
Oh, no.
You all couldn't deal with me if I did.
5:30.
I work in our kitchen island.
Yeah.
And then that way, like, if Anna's around or Mike's around, I still can get stuff done there, but I feel like I'm at least part of the family.
Well, that day that I had the migraine, I sat in my kitchen because I can dim my lights in there, and I just had the lights barely on. And I sat in there and I put the screen on really dim on my laptop, and I got more done in that day sitting at the island in my kitchen than I can remember getting done in a really long time. And it was just getting in there, no distractions. I wasn't like in and out and I don't know. It was just different. It was a different kind of day, and I was not on the phone a lot. I did do a lot of texting, but I wasn't on calls a lot, and I was a lot more productive. So it's like, okay, do I take one day maybe to do that so that I can catch up or get ahead when I know I'm going to have weeks like this, right? And then next week's holiday, so it's a short week, and the month is gone. It still has to get done. So that's how we have the 4-on-1s. So let's get together, and why don't we do ladies versus gentlemen? How about that? And so we'll put the guys together, and I'm going to have you all create a 411, and you can do your individual ones and help each other, or you can do one joint one as a group, and then I'll give you other ones to take away. I just want you all to see how it works and incorporate the SMART goals into this 411, because I know you all have already been doing it, because almost every single thing on that list is part of a 411. So I know that's something that you all have been working on, so kudos, because that's amazing to be able to do or learn anything in a class and actually walk away and do it. So that's a big deal. But let's do this. Let's just sit down and actually physically do it, because we have now learned that's the best way we get things done in here is to physically do it. I'm going to pin you down. People, that's why they're not coming. That's where you all are today. You knew I was going to make you do work in here. Well, it's for your own good, children. It's for your own good, right? It's because I love you. All right, so guys, you all actually have to sit together. Like, you need to physically figure out. Like, I think you boys should go to Ray, because he's got a nice open area over there.
Go.
It's funny because
Sarah.
John, you coming?
I'm working on it.
I got one extra one. So,
we have to do this for.
Yeah, so,
But we didn't do it for November. We did both. Yeah, we did.
her last, I think it was Kim's last meeting, I don't remember, she asked us to come up with one
so,
thing, like,
since all the
to do.
numbers are different.
for our business. And this was my one thing, it was the 411. And I was thinking it must be on my desk or in my bag, but I've been trying to do it. And, so, I can only, I put on here my annual goals is I wanted to sell 16 homes, 1.8 million next year. That's what I did.
Yeah, because this would have to be for next year.
Right. Or, I mean, yeah, next
Because
year.
these activities that we start doing today will.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. You're right. So, and then my monthly goals, I broke down like how many appointments that I would need, you know, for that. And that was easy, actually.
Yeah, for my.
And then I started writing down social media calendar this week. I gotta do my handwritten notes for Thanksgiving.
Like some of my monthly goals were trying to, putting my, let's say, for instance, I did do November, but
We
I'm
had a
not
game on
thinking
that one, so it's.
what promotion am I doing in December?
Houses.
Because usually I do something in December for marketing,
Units.
so I gotta have that all planned out,
Right,
ready to go, what I'm going to do,
right.
send it out, whatever I'm doing, whether I'm. And then December, I always do gifts for the client that sold Cody this year. And then I have those too, so those I plan in as well. But this year I plan whatever my dollars are and then this monthly, what I need for the month.
Well, I also put like our monthly goals coming in, because I feel I've
Yeah, you
neglected
gotta
that.
do them in.
Yeah.
I did that today.
And see, I've been trying to do like based on that miracle morning, just have a routine that I do
Yeah,
every day.
You understand what I'm saying?
Where I
Yeah,
start
they're
yeah,
doing monthly activities.
because I think,
For.
yeah, if I get that, then
Right, but you
I
want,
get
yeah,
that.
you want,
Will help me continue. I used to
Yeah,
write
these
like
big goals
3 to
will
5
be
notes
for.
a day to expireds and
still there.
and I said, I was gonna stop doing that.
So big goals.
Right,
I know,
Yeah.
yeah, I started
Be like
doing
your
that
20
again.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, and
December
even your
2020.
monthly goals
But
could be
The
like
rest of these, we
your
start out.
FISBOs,
It's gonna be.
expired, you wanna send out
20, right, month
8
of
a month.
November.
8 months, you know, just whatever.
Because at the end
I'm
of the day,
pretty good at setting my goals
you can
low.
start this, like, you should be looking at whatever your goal.
I was gonna say 16, that seems
Well,
low
what's
for
really
you.
weird is that
Right, so it says in 20
4.8,
closes,
you
you
just
get
did
18, you
4.8,
want
I
to
was
push it goes
surprised.
up to.
I didn't round up. Yeah,
I'm
no.
just saying that if you're looking at your.
Especially
thing,
the
which
kind of
is-
mindset I'm in this
There's
this
the
week,
goal.
yeah.
See, I should be.
I don't
Based
know
on
why
that
I'm
now.
saying that because I have to write
We don't know
I-
everything.
And see, some of this is hard for
When
me
we
to
wanna
set these
work, when we
goals
don't wanna
because I
work.
don't have anything to base it on. When you guys have something to base it on, I'm kind of.
You can base it on whatever you want, what kind of money you want to make,
We
and then
didn't
what,
even know.
what's your
Yeah.
dollar volume, divide that, and
Here's
that's
the
how
next
many
6 weeks.
homes you need to sell.
Here's what I
Right,
told
it
you
based
to do,
with
because
your,
you know,
your
between
job.
Christmas and
Say,
New
okay,
Year's,
it's realistic that
You did
I
a lot
can
of work
sell
down there.
6 a year, 5 a year, you know, something
Yeah.
like
And what's
that.
your goal? Are you looking to be from full time
you
or?
know,
Oh, yeah,
before
that's
Christmas.
right, but I think I'm gonna have to ease into it,
Mhm.
but
I would
my,
say I would look at
things are
this
happening at
calendar,
work,
and
that
you usually have a
things are changing and
business
I can't really commit to anything at this point.
I'm
Until I
surprised
find
you're
it.
this time of the year.
It was supposed to, we go on what
I did
is called moratorium, so all of them said stop
42 days.
for
So
November
now I
and
only have
December.
41.
And we just go to stocking or wherever they have a need for us. They have just now decided, we did like a week of that, and then they want us to go back to overnights and work for Meyer directly.
Yeah, so for my.
But I have a
for
good
my
relationship
one,
with
I
my
got,
store because the overnights are killing me, and they are okay with
let's
me
just say
coming in and doing.
do the
my
database while I'm contacting.
Oh, that's
these
awesome.
two.
Yeah, so, and they,
So when I do my
they've been
calendar
really
like
good,
that,
but see,
then I
building
can't
relationships,
spread
they
that
talk
out,
about that
those
and
two
both, that
letters
is
per week
so
over the
important,
course
and
of
if I
5 days.
hadn't had
and
a good
get 40
relationship
for
with
like
everybody in the store,
two.
I wouldn't have gotten to do that, so
So I
that's
think
the
if we
biggest
keep our
thing for
weekly
Golden,
goals
is the way
as
that the building
consistent weekly
relationship.
goals, here's what I'm doing.
So
Then
when I
each week
did
it
mine
would
then, I just broke it
see what's
down
going on
as
that
this
week.
is my to-do list for the week. Like I even started kind of
At
ignoring
least for the
this,
purpose
you
of
know?
411.
So like then it would be 2 notes on his bills and expires.
And then we'll just have to
Which
course
Is it daily or
correct every
weekly?
week.
Weekly? Wait, oh, did you do it daily or weekly?
I was doing the data.
You were doing daily?
Yeah,
I
I
was
was
really
From
set-
weekly to daily.
Yeah, I went, yeah, so 8 a month,
Yeah, so
so,
that's 35.
so let's just say, 3, that'd be 12 a month, so 3 a month, or 3 a week, I'm sorry.
A week.
Yeah, 3 a week, I mean,
Did you work 5 days a week, Carol, or do you have
I'm
7?
here.
Okay.
I'm just trying to put some stuff in that's kind of ours. I was never doing a 411.
Yeah,
She was watching her
face.
Oh, you were? Awesome.
Me
Okay.
and Melissa Pratt was with them too.
So let's just take like 2 more minutes and wrap up whatever section you're in so we can.
Okay.
Trying to
Discuss
jam
it.
in.
So what's something else that we do that we can do that would support our annual goals?
Open houses.
Open houses, so, okay, that also can be monthly, so what do you think, like 2 open houses? What do you,
I would say
3,
2.
2 open houses, okay? This week, I'm gonna do an open house, cause my daughter has no softball games or something, so I'm, you know, which is nice, cause then I can look at her schedule and plug it in. You can look at your work schedule, you can do it here.
Because
Also,
as
if I'm
your
not
Well,
doing
question is
open
just when you-
house, I
when you
try to
take
go
those
to an
pieces
event,
off, what do you-
like in Palatine, do something like that, cause I do
move
get.
one letter the week prior, one letter to the week after.
And then you can post it on Facebook.
Right, exactly, that's really what I.
Right, but the
Like I went to, they had a business expo here in
So I just got
Palatine,
two monthly goals, number of open houses.
that was through the Palatine Chamber of Commerce. So it was actually kind of interesting, I got a lot out of it.
3.
And I was kind of proud of myself, because I went by myself.
What are you guys have so far?
So we put our annual goal, then for the month, we put like 2 open houses, for 2 appointments, this is my per month. I didn't, I have to get more specific, I put command, but I want some monthly goal that's tied directly to command. Then Carol had talked how she wrote notes on physicals and expires, handwritten notes, so we put 12 handwritten notes to physicals and expires. So then we took it to the week 1 where we put social media, 3 physicals and expired notes, open house. I want to start writing like hand notes of a couple every single day.
Are you doing the gold one, the D2?
This is more just hand notes, just, I could do, you're right, I could do it the way through both and know I covered everybody. So yeah, I wasn't thinking that, but that would be a great way to track it. Yeah. D2, D2?
D2, DW,
Yeah.
D2.
do the database too. DT, D2. D, do the database too.
Okay, so, but with notes too. And
All right. All right, so who wants to share what they have so far and why?
I'll share. So, on annual goals, I mean, we put our annual goal.
Okay,
Okay, then on monthly goals, we broke it down where I would need 2 listing appointments per month to reach my goal.
okay,
And then we talked about open houses. This is kind of merging all our goals in this one.
sure, sure.
Doing 2 open houses a month. And then sending notes or somehow contacting 12 FISBOs and expireds a month.
Okay,
And then we broke that down into this week one. I know this week I can do an open house, and then also handwriting notes to our clients and following the DT, D2, you know, on phone calls, but also like handwritten notes.
so just real quick, on backing up on that, where you said the open houses, there were 2 open houses a month and there was something else per month. Oh, 2 appointments.
Yeah.
So on that, that's exactly where you're just gonna move it over, right? If you don't have your 2, if you're in the 3rd week of the month and you don't have your 2, that weekly part of your 411 is going to change.
Right.
And if that doesn't change, then your monthly goal for next month is going to change, right? Like it has to go on there. However, keeping that specific, instead of just, do you see where I'm going? Instead of like beating a dead horse, but instead of just saying, I want to sell 4.8 million this year, or I want to sell 16 million this year, or whatever, breaking it down. And that's the whole point of this, so that you can actually put those daily activities into it. So no, that's very good. You all were exactly on track with that. How about you all?
I think kind of generic since we've all got different numbers.
Yeah, yeah.
Annual goals, I just put units, volume, number added to database.
Okay.
Monthly, well, one of the things Ray does to add to a database is open houses, 2 to 3 open houses. I change it to 2, so we can make round numbers. Add 520 to the database for the year.
Okay.
Which is about 43 per month. Number of closings, and then do the database too, the 2 letters per week. And then the weekly goals would be to have half an open house each week. So if you don't do it 1 week, it rolls up to
Yeah.
1 open house the next week. And then add 10 contacts per week, which, round up a little bit to get to the 520.
But you see where having this done every single week and looking at it every single week and going through your calendar for the year and knowing what's going on, yeah, you may say we're gonna do 2 open houses, well, 3, but 2 for math, whatever, right? We're gonna do 2 open houses a month, but if you know certain months you're traveling and you're gone, well then maybe this is the month you do 4.
Yeah, and John mentioned it and they mentioned it. It's like, okay, so coming up the last 6 weeks of the year, are you really gonna work all weeks?
And are
So
people
it's
gonna
like,
come?
Yeah.
Like if you were to do an open house, are people gonna come the weekend before Christmas?
I think the other thing that we were looking at was for the D2, T2. If you're not gonna work the last 2 weeks of the year, then you need to add that whatever letter you're gonna want to the previous week.
Yeah, for sure. My point is having it in writing in front of you like this, or the electronic version right in front of you, is gonna help you stay on track with it. Yeah.
I found mine. I liked the business goals and personal goals.
Yeah.
Like for the year for personal, I put read 4 books on self-improvement or some sort of growth.
Yeah, so you do the electronic version already.
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
I just so happened to stumble on it. I just put in there 411.
I should have put it up there when I did the business planning clinic. Anyway. So, but no, that's awesome. And that way you can break it down and you know what you're going to be doing. So perfect. Any other questions on how that works or what you can do to use it at a little bit higher level? I don't want you to leave here today and be like, oh, we did a class today on the to-do list. Which is what it is, right? But it's also keeping you on track so that you don't have such a big gap. That wedge isn't so big when you're coming up on October going, what am I going to do, right? Or if you're having a huge final quarter, your first quarter being the, what am I going to do? Because you've been so busy that during the fourth quarter that you haven't been able to get everything ready for the first quarter. So that's the point of this. It's just really being able to keep you mentally on track.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Can you access this through your phone?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you can log into any of those things through your phone. So just go ahead and set it up. I mean, it's already actually done for you. So once you click on the one that's on Facebook, then you'll be able to go through and access it from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So would I be able to access this through Kelly since I started this on my phone?
You should be able to, John, do you know?
I don't think you can get that version because it's more PDF.
Like, I know you can get the old version, I just don't know if you can get the interactive one.
Okay.
That's a good thing to say, hey, here's
Yeah.
my suggestion, I want to be able to get this through
And even
Kelly.
in finding like journaling or your planner or anything, you don't have that with you all the time, but you do have your phone.
Right. No, I totally agree. Okay, so this is something, a tool that I use when I'm coaching, and I thought that it would be really good to share with you all because it's also a tool that I use on my husband and children. It's a tool that I've used numerous times when I went on listing appointments because it works. And so we've all heard, you know, logic makes people think, and emotion makes them
React.
There you go, yeah. And so that's what this tool is. And so we're just going to take the last 20 minutes today to talk about how to mentally manipulate people. No. But really, I mean, it kind of is, right? So if I'm going to sit down and have a conversation with someone, I'm taking them through the 4 quadrants. Essentially what you're doing is, this is a tactic to get people to act, regardless of what it is, right? If you need someone to act and do something, this is the flow of what you're going to do with them, right? So who has used this before? So essentially we're just going to go right around the bend, just like so, like a big U. Okay, so you're going to start at that top left corner. And so, for instance, let's take a listing, because this is somewhere where you all would use this tactic, right? So if we're talking about Raina wants to sell her home, and I'm coming in and I'm giving her a price of where I think that she needs to list it. And she says, oh, you know what? I mean, I have plenty of time. I'm in no hurry, and I want to try to get more money out of it. So I want you to list it, I told her $250. I want you to list it for $325, right? So I'm going to take her through the present positive, and her present positive is she's not in a hurry right now, right? She doesn't really care. She wants to get more money. So she's good where she is. She's comfy, right? So then if you take her into the present negative, well, why am I here to begin with? Where are you wanting to go? What are you wanting to do? Right? And that may be, well, I want to move and go be closer to my grandkids. Well, why do you want to get closer to your grandkids? Oh, well, I want to see their activities, and I want to be there when they do whatever, right? And so we're just going to go all the way through here. So if we don't sell today, if we weren't able to sell, and it takes us longer because we're overpriced and we can't get it on the market and yada, 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 and you can't get to your grandbabies and you can't see, so we're taking her now into the future negative. So what if we were able to get you priced right today and get you sold sooner and get you to your grandbaby sooner? Would that be a good thing? So now we're up in the future positive. So it's everything. This is how I got Troy to Chicago. Right? So help me. You keep it separate, man. You keep it separate.
Hey,
So-
Troy, how are you?
Yeah, exactly, right? So, he knows. He's so into it. I was on the phone, we were coming back, and I was on the phone with an agent in Indianapolis that I work with, and she said something about, she was like, you just have the ability to get into people's heads and get them to think you want the way that you want them to think. And Troy's driving, and he was like, like the biggest eye roll ever, and I was like, damn you, Nikki. So what would be an example? Let's play with this. Let's play with this and see, because I want you guys to be able to, and you got to practice it, right? So go home and practice it on Christine. And it doesn't have to be a bad thing, right? This isn't a bad thing. It's whatever the goal is, whatever it is that you're wanting to do, you've got to take yourself through. When agents sit down and say to me, well, I can't really do that right now because I'm really busy, or, somebody that's wanting to move. Well, they sat down to talk to me for a reason. Mm-hmm. Or they're sitting in front of a computer Zooming with me for a reason. There's something there. There's a gap. There's something that they want, right? So this is the perfect tool to show people that you've got to take them through the map of where they're going to be. And you always want to end on a positive note, right? So they think they're in a good place right now. I'm happy. I love my broker. I'm happy. I don't need to go anywhere, right? I'm good. That's their positive present. So then what? So let's do that. I'll say I'm with another brokerage and you all are wanting to get me over here and I'm happy where I am. That's my present positive. What's going to happen right now if I don't move over?
Everything's gonna stay the same.
Mhm.
You're not gonna grow.
Right. Right. Or for instance, I had one that I was talking to the other day and she said, well, I have a couple of deals coming up and I would really like to get those closed. And I said, well, are they pending yet? And she said, no. Well, the present negative would be, well, if you move over here, you get to keep all that because she's a big enough producer that I could cap manage her. If you stay where you are, you're going to have to pay a split to your broker. That's the present negative, right? If you stay where you are, it's going to cost you money, which she has no idea what else is in store, right? Right now, we're just talking about in her head what that could be. And if you don't move now, then what could that look like in the future? You aren't growing. It is going to cost you more money. Your business isn't going to get bigger. You aren't going to have the support, yada, yada, yada. And if you do move, right, let's take something else. Let's take something simple. Kid doing their homework. No, really, because I mean, just practicing this and getting your head wrapped around it. You all, when you sit down in a listing appointment and you have this, it's amazing. It's amazing. I'm telling you, I've used that grandkid script so many times on people because they aren't. Normally, when I sit down with couples and they've owned their home for a while and they have a lot of equity in it, they want to try to get more out of it. And they're not in a hurry and they don't care. And then as soon as they drop the grandkid bomb on me, I'm like, you're toast. As soon as they say I want to get closer to my grandkids, I'm like, yeah, we're gonna go ahead and list this thing now, you know. So so let's talk about that. What's the scenario? Do you all want to do a kid with homework? Do you want to do a listing appointment? I want you all to walk through this. I'm not gonna do it.
Homework, we can do homework.
Okay, so let's just start that one out first. So homework.
So they're not doing their homework, so.
They don't want to do their homework.
Present positive, because they have all the time in the world.
Yeah.
Right now.
And they can do something else with their time.
Video games.
Besides homework, yeah. So there's lots of present positive. What's the present negative for them right this minute if they don't do it?
They don't get good test scores or good grades.
They don't do it,
Well, they get mom or dad upset with them.
Which they may or may
I
not
think
care about.
grounded.
well, they'll be grounded and they won't be able to play the video games that they want to. They
There you
don't
go.
play
Away,
it
we
right
take
now.
away their freedom.
There you go. And so what's the long term? If we're looking at the future negative, what would be the long term negative of them not doing their homework?
You never want to ever play those games again.
They're getting sold.
If you're not doing your homework now, you're not going to get good grades at the end of the semester, and that's when more punishments are coming. You're not getting your grades. You're not getting video game back.
Right. So what could be their future positive? What's going to be a benefit to them in the long run if they do their
So
homework
they do
today?
their homework now, they'll play video games and.
Or have more free time. I need to shut up, sorry.
Right, they get their homework, here's what I don't like, is you don't want to do your homework now, then you're not gonna get to go out with your buddies, right? And so, but then if you get your homework done now, you will get it done right after school so that you have the rest of the day to go play with your buddies.
Right.
As much as
So
you
just, that's all you're doing. It's just moving it from one block to the other, right? That's all you're doing. And if you have a hard time, I mean, I took a picture of this and put it on my phone, just saved it in my pictures when I was first learning it because I would get confused. I'd be like, am I in the future? Am I in the positive? Where am I? And the easiest way to think of it is the present is here and the future is over there. Present here, future over there. Positive is up here and negative is down there, right? So that's the way that I could remember the direction on the quadrant of what I was supposed to be doing. So who wants to role play with sellers that you want them to list their house now and they want to wait till the spring?
Okay, I do.
Okay, so we have Lynette and who else? Who wants to be the seller?
I'm the agent.
You're going to be the agent.
Okay.
You're going to take them through this. I'm going to leave this. I'll hold it up here so you can cheat.
Okay.
And then who wants to be the seller? I need a difficult seller. Thank you,
Oh,
John.
gosh. All right, so the present positive is that they're okay with that, right?
Yeah, they're good. They're in no hurry. They have plenty of equity in their home, so they're not stressed about, making house payments or any of that kind of stuff.
So John, so what do you say that you're not really in a hurry to sell, because you want to wait for the spring, because you're.
Yeah, I just think it's better to wait for the spring. I mean, I want people, my wife spends a lot of time putting up the Christmas decorations and, we don't want to be coming over knocking the ornaments off the Christmas tree or messing up the house or anything like that.
Okay, great. I mean, I can appreciate that now. So.
No, you're good. No, just talk it through. You're good.
Okay, so and then.
So that's his positive, right? Where he's comfortable is
Right.
he doesn't have to worry about anybody putting up his Christmas tree. Does that have anything to do with selling his home and putting money in his pocket?
No.
No.
So, all right.
Right, but he's saying that's exactly what a seller would say. That's like some excuse that they would pop up with that has nothing at all to do with, like, you knew that you were going to be putting a Christmas tree up in December when you called me to come over here, right? So think of that. And don't overthink it. Like, that's the biggest thing that we'll do is sit there and go, oh, should I say this or should I say? No. By doing this right now, what's his present positive is he doesn't have to worry about his tree getting messed up, right? So then if we come down here, what would be the negative? What would be negative for him in the present by not putting his house in the market?
That he will be competing later with other people.
Yes, very good.
That many people, and you get, okay, so that's the negative present would be that if he waits, he'll be competing with other people.
Right.
Okay? And his home value may not be where it should be.
Exactly.
We don't know that. The numbers have been changing, right?
Mhm.
All right, and the present future, I would say that.
No, we're going to stay over here, future negative.
Oh, future negative.
So we
Okay.
just took him to the present negative of like the inventory issue. But the future negative, let's go to how that may affect his net or his timeline.
Mhm.
Do what? Market's going down.
Right.
What may be happening with rates if he's going to buy,
They may be
They
going
may
up.
be going up.
right? So
And
he's
you're-
going to lose on this end and he's going to lose on that end.
Right.
So that's what we're talking about with future negative.
Future negative.
Okay?
And again, he's going to have more competition.
Yeah.
And
The more competition is going to be more of his present negative
okay,
because that's going to be kind of more short term.
okay.
When we talk about what his future negative is, how that's going to affect him financially in the future.
And he's going to have a hard time finding another home.
He'll be competing with more buyers
Yeah.
at that time, right? So perfect. You see where we're going with this? And so what would be the future positive? If he just goes ahead and lists this house now, what could be, it's literally just going to be the
The
inverse
future
of this one.
positive would be that you're going to get some serious buyers now because just like he doesn't want to deal with this in this winter time of Christmas
Right.
time, he will be happy not doing that. People that are out there looking is because they're serious about buying.
Absolutely.
So they'll see him as a serious seller. They are a serious buyer, and you get more quality buyers coming through at this time than in the spring.
Yeah, for sure. And so when you have that, the chances of him walking away with the money that he wants out of his house are much greater than waiting until later. So just practice with this a little bit, right? Get a little more comfortable with this because your job is to guide him through this decision, right? And this is a perfect little roadmap for everything, right? I used this on my stepdad. I was selling their cabin. They had a cabin in Monticello. And I'll never forget, I was out in the garage because my neighbor was over and him and my husband were working on the car. And it's a really loud car. And I literally had to go, stop, guys. I'm on the phone with my stepdad, who said he did not want to take this offer someone gave him. That was like $5,000 higher than I told him to list.
Oh,
Okay?
wow.
Yeah. So he did not want to take this offer. And so I said to him, and I knew his situation, right? They had a home here. They had the lake home. And my parents are getting older, they're in their late 70s. And so I don't want them worrying about how they're going to get to their doctor's appointments or, can somebody get to them if something happens? He would be out there working on this house out of the cabin and it's, in the middle of nowhere where they may or may not get cell service. So I just literally took him all the way through this. And I said, do you remember why you told me you wanted to sell the house to begin with? And he was like, well, we just want to sell it. I'm just done working on it. I was like, no. Do you remember why you told me you want to sell it? You said that you don't want to be out there in the middle of nowhere anymore. You said that you want to be closer to the family. You want to be closer to where your doctors are, where things are more convenient. That's what you said to me. So you also have told me that your payment on this cabin is X. And so if we turn down this offer, how many more do you think we're going to get? It's a cabin in Monticello, Kentucky. You know, we were on the market for a month and he had like 2 offers, which is unheard of. But, you know, he's my stepdad and my mom, so we went a little overboard on the marketing and the drones and all the stuff, right? But we wanted to get it done for him. But I had to remind him of why he was listing it. And so when I said to him after like the 4th time, do you remember what you said to me? Do you remember? Do you remember? You know, he goes, just give me a few minutes. And he hangs up. It's all mad and grumpy, you know. And like 5 minutes later, he calls me back and says, fine, just tell him we'll take it. But I had to get him through this circle, right? Because people get, whenever we said at the very beginning, logic makes them think and emotion makes them act. And when we get in that negotiating portion, right? Or someone's offended, or they feel like they're not getting as much for their home as they should, or whatever the case may be, they get emotional. And so we also have the conversation with them in the very beginning of remaining emotionally neutral. And so it's the same way when we go out with buyers, and I'll say, Rick, you said to me, you don't want to spend a dime over $205,000, right? And we get in a multiple offer, because that happens a lot in Lexington. So we're in a multiple offer situation, and now you're going to be at 215 to come back at this offer. Is that what you want to do? Because you said that this is what you wanted your payment to be. And you said the reason you wanted your payment to be that is because you want to be able to save money so that you could go on vacation every year. And it's important to go on vacation every year so that you can spend more time with your kids. So do you want to go above the 205? So you're neutralizing them with their own thoughts and words. So this is just a great thing. Go home, practice this with your friends, practice it in the mirror. But it's a phenomenal tool, and it really, listings it's been the best use of my time. It really keeps my buyers from making crazy emotional decisions. But with sellers, it really helps you to keep them on track with why they're doing what they're doing, right? Because it just takes one time of a realtor going in there and leaving all the lights on and not locking the door. And they call you freaking out. I'm just going to take the house off the market. Hang on just a second. Okay. Well, right? And you just start here and take them around. So just practice it, because it will get you through so many little funky spots, right? So this is just a great thing, a great tool for you all to use. What are some ahas from today?
This, I liked this.
Good.
Yeah.
It's a great tool. It's one of the very first things that they work with us on, because it really is teaching people how to think. Because it's what you have to do. And see, now that you all have it, when you're sitting down one-on-one with me, you're going to be like,
Yeah, you're doing it.
am I in the quadrant? Am I in there? Yeah, you are. But yeah, just teaching people how to think, because they do. They get so emotional. Your job is to keep them on track, right? It's no different than that. It's exactly like the wedge at the very beginning. If you continue to allow them, they got mad over the lights, they got mad over an offer, if that gap keeps getting bigger and bigger, the next thing you know, they're going to take their house off the market and be done. Mm-hmm. And that's what you don't want, right? So it's teaching them how to think and stay on track. Good, I'm glad you like that. What else?
I think you can use this on yourself.
Yeah, I
Oh.
was just thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
For sure.
Like, I can see myself like, okay, but I do this.
Yeah. Where is that going to get me up here? Yeah. Or how's it going to help me change? What else?
Just both of these two simple sheets of paper help us get seriously organized.
They do. One is with your thoughts, because it's hard for us. I mean, I'm a person who, once a seller starts freaking out on the phone, I haven't, like, in my mind what I want to say. Right? But for us all to end up where we want to end up, right, you can't do that. I mean, I think I've lost it on a seller like one time because he was just a total jerk and was just mean and nasty. And I was in my car and like on the way to the hospital when my dad was sick, and I was already not in a great place. And he just went off on me. And I mean, I literally emotionally annihilated him with my words. And I mean, it was bad. And I hung up on him. And like 15 minutes later, he called me back and he said, I'm so very sorry. He was an investor that I had out in California, and he went too far. And I already had a very thin threshold at that moment, you know? And if I'd been smart, I just would have not picked up the phone, right? Like, I know his personality. I knew the kind of dude he was. I knew where I was emotionally in that specific moment. I should have just not picked up the phone. Like, looking back on it, I mean, was it the best thing? Yeah, it was absolutely, we had a great relationship after that. Everything was like roses after that. That's not always how it is, right? So this tool really helps you as well to stay within those emotional boundaries of where you need to be. So I hope that's helpful to you all. Anything else? Good job today. I liked having our little group. This was productive. Excellent. Excellent. All right, I mean, can we make up for the voices that aren't here?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You think we can? Okay. Let's go. Check it out. Woo! Have a good day, you guys. Thank you.
You know, because we've had goals and on the, hasn't been keeping us on track, so I kept thinking, why am I so overwhelmed, even when I've created to-do lists?
Right. Because it's hard to squeeze it all in there, you know?
I have to definitely start
We're going to start here.
It's actually, I expect you signed up in the next 10 minutes.
But you know, okay, let me tell you my experience.
What was the outcome there?
Oh.
Is that yours?
That one was.
And even-
Oh, is this mine?
Do that.